Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about Star Wars The Bad Batch, the spin-off series of Star Wars The Clone Wars featuring The Bad Batch, coming out 2 days ago on May 4th, as all good Star Wars things should. Before this video begins, please be sure to subscribe. We're so close to 100 subscribers, and if you could be one of my first 100 subscribers, that'd be so freaking cool. This video will be split up into two sections, the non-spoiler section and the spoiler section. The non-spoiler section being my overarching thoughts about this episode without going into too much detail, and the spoiler section being, obviously, spoilers, going into very heavy detail about things that happen throughout the episode. I'll be sure to tell you when spoilers are going to happen, so you know when you're able to click off if you don't want to know anything too spoilery about the episode. Getting into the non-spoiler section, first I just want to say how much I love the concept of this show. As soon as they introduced the Bad Batch in Clone Wars Season 7, I was immediately interested and wanted to see more. This was something that we really didn't see out of the Clone Wars up until this point. Kind of like a special ops, guerrilla warfare battalion of clones that were completely different than any other clone before. It was interesting because before they were able to vary their characters just a little bit, as characters like Captain Rex and Commander Cody and all those things, they were able to kind of vary the same kind of archetype of character, but because the Bad Batch had these specific mutations in their genes that made them completely different, they could add a different writing style. There was a bit of a different writing style with each of these characters, which gave something fresh, something new, something a little different that we hadn't seen before. So I wanted to see more. So when they introduced this series as being their standalone and just about the Bad Batch, I was really hype and totally on board to see what was going to happen next. This series is in the time period of Order 66, and it immediately brought some sort of interesting conflict to the main characters, giving a different perspective on this kind of awful time in Star Wars history when bad things were happening, with a new interesting canon plotline with these relatively new characters. It was interesting because it really was able to develop the Bad Batch in just one episode in a way. It was able to show how each character processed conflict and acted upon it, leaving lots of places for the plot to move forward with a lot of these specific devices happening and different things that you were able to see move forward through even just this one episode, which was fantastic. This episode was around an hour 10, hour 15 minutes long, and it already develop these characters into people that now you feel like you feel like you know who's sided with who and what way that this plot is somewhat going to progress. Lots of questions still to be answered, but you have somewhat of an idea of how this might go forward, and I thought it was very interesting and very masterfully written. Dave Filoni is absolutely amazing at doing this stuff, and yet again he struck with another bit of gold, and I cannot wait to see where it goes forward. Next is going to be the spoiler section. I'm going to put somewhere on screen that there's going to be big spoilers for what happened in this first episode and even conjecture of what might happen in the future. So moving on and moving right into the spoilers. First off, a little complaint. My one and only complaint about this episode was in the very beginning. The Padawan's voice. Oh my god, I don't know what it was. It's nitpicky. It wasn't really even that big of a deal, but it kind of brought me out of the moment for a second. Let me give you an example of why.
There you are, little Jedi. You missed all the fun.
Watching your team in action was the fun.
Care to introduce your new friends, Caleb?
Yes, Master.
They easily could have gotten a kid or a woman to play this role, but no, they got 28-year-old Nat Geo commentator to play this 12-year-old Padawan or whatever, who I also think is Kanan from Star Wars Rebels, but I didn't watch much of Star Wars Rebels, so that's just conjecture for me. I'm not really sure, so please correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think it was Kanan. But I just thought that was funny. Brought me out of the moment for just a little bit because I was like, oh, they have like a 28-year-old man playing this 12-year-old, and it was really strange. Voice did not match the character at all, which I thought was funny. But that was my one and only nitpick of this episode. Moving on to the overarching themes of this episode, which I thought were really important and really interesting. The overarching theme of taking orders as a soldier. If you get an order you don't like, do you move forward with it? Or if it goes against your morals enough, do you just give up? What makes a good soldier? A soldier that is willing to disobey orders, or one that always goes along with orders? That was really what the overarching theme was, and that's where the main turmoil and conflict was between Hunter and Crosshair within the Bad Batch, becoming very pivotal in multiple points of this episode. It was interesting because in this one episode, they develop and almost break apart the Bad Batch in a way that was really interesting, that they made two characters go at each other so hard that it kind of broke the Bad Batch to pieces a little bit, alienating one of the members, being Crosshair. Hunter being on the side of, I don't want to go forward with things that aren't morally right for me, and Crosshair being on the side of, orders are always supposed to be carried through. So, very interesting dichotomy there. I think the one of the most interesting parts of this episode for me was seeing how Order 66 affected the regs, or the regular clones, on Kamino. They spent a long time in this episode on Kamino, or their home planet, really showing how Palpatine had the clones brainwashed from minute one, and we didn't even know it. It was really cool to see this new perspective of what was going on behind the scenes during Order 66, or in the aftermath of Order 66, how the regs really were going on like or regular business, like it was day-to-day business, not processing that they had just genocided the generals they had fought the entire Clone Wars with. So it was interesting to see that immediate shift in goals and in mentality between the regs and those who inherently couldn't carry out Order 66, like the Bad Batch, because they were genetically mutated in a different way, and so they wouldn't be able to carry out Order 66, or it wasn't ingrained in them with that little chip like they explained in the Clone Wars. They introduced a new character in this episode, Omega, who was interesting. I was about her character the whole time. She was fine. I have no complaints about her throughout the episode, which is funny. It was her because they kind of reveal later she is a female clone, the only one of its kind, which is very interesting, and I think it could go in a very cool direction. As of right now, I'm about it, but I'm open-minded to see what's going to happen in the future. I am always open-minded to new, cool Star Wars things. I'm always happy to love more Star Wars, so I'm really hoping it goes in a really cool direction, and I think it will. Dave Filoni knows what he's doing, and that has been shown in all 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. Saw Gerrera made a really impactful appearance in this episode, really showing the shift from the Republic to the Galactic Empire in many ways, and increasing the conflict between Crosshair and Hunter. General Tarkin, who made his first appearance technically in lore-wise in an important way, to ask the Bad Batch to dispose of some insurgents, who ended up being Saw Gerrera and a bunch of Republic fighters and survivors. So Hunter was not having any of it. He was not going to carry through these orders to murder basically a Republic hero. And that's when Crosshair and Hunter really were at odds with each other, because Crosshair wanted to go through with it, Hunter did not. And that was another place where you see the conflict really happen. So yeah, it was really cool to see these immediate changes, how the Republic was scrapped instantaneously as soon as Order 66 went through. And we already knew that, of course, but it was interesting to see it in a different light. That is one thing I think Star Wars does really well, is being able to take maybe the same timeline, but show you different aspects of it, to see different parts of it. And it's really cool. It really fleshes out of this world and this universe that we all love so much. And add these different characters like Hunter, the whole Bad Batch, Crosshair, all of these things. Really, really cool. Leading up to the end of this first episode, being Hunter and the rest of the Bad Batch, plus Omega, minus Crosshair, because he was kind of brainwashed in a way, leaving. The rest of the Bad Batch, minus Crosshair, leaving Kamino, never to return. So it's interesting to see where this is going to go, where Omega is going to fit in the dynamic of the Bad Batch, and what's going to happen. Honorable mention to the scene where Hunter and the rest of the Bad Batch, minus Crosshair, were awoken to the fact that the Republic is gone, in the big hall scene with all the clones cheering for the new Empire, and Hunter realizing something is up, knowing that this Empire is evil, which we already know, but they don't. Interesting to see how different people were awoken to this terrible tragedy that happened, which was Order 66. So this first episode was really, really interesting. I think that in an overarching way, I love the theming of it, but in the specifics, it really gives throwbacks and connections between the whole Star Wars universe, which is, everything we could possibly ask for. I don't know how... if this series is like anywhere near as good as The Mandalorian, sign me up. I am excited for this. I'm really, really hyped to see where this goes, because I already like it a lot. So thank you for checking out this video. I'm excited to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you want me to do more reviews when each episode comes out or at the end to see my whole thoughts about the entire series. So thank you for checking out this video, and I'll see you in the next Star Wars video.